Right guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. In this one I'm just going to be showing you if it's possible to run your Shimano front derailleur, i.e. R7000, 8000 or 9100 with a GRX front crankset. So the GRX front crankset uses different chain line, so therefore it's outboard more than a standard road crankset. So according to Shimano, you have to purchase the GRX front derailleur to run the GRX crankset, and you can't use the road derailleur, the front derailleur, with the GRX. So let's go ahead, let's get stuck into it. Right, so as you can see, this is R8000 Ultegra derailleur there. Now if you swapped to a GRX, this is a 4831 front chain rings on this. So if you swapped from say a compact or any other one, and you're coming down to a 4831 from a say a 5034, then your derailleur at the front is going to be too far away. As you can see there, the gap is way too big, so it won't knock the chain off because the gap's too large. So you've got to drop that gap back down to say about 2.5 mil from there to there, roughly. See, so you've got to lower your derailleur down, but by lowering the derailleur down, you're going to lose the tension in your cable by lowering it down that much. So you'll have to reset the adjustment and redo the cable, otherwise you won't be able to adjust the cable tension correctly afterwards. So we'll lower this back down and we'll take it from there. Right, so what I've done first is I'll just pop the cover off where your pinch bolt is, like so, just to get that out of the way. Then you've got, if you've got a braze on derailleur, which most of them are, then what you want to do is, with a 2 mil hex head, is through the middle there, locate the 2mm that's going through and pushing against your frame there, and then just back that away a few turns so it's not touching. And then after you've done that, you can get your 5mm hex head and undo your bolt there, your mounting bolt, and then lower your derailleur down so as you've got about a 2mm gap roughly between the front there and the top of the chain ring. So just get a 2mm or 2.5mm hex head and just rest it in there so as it's straight between there and there. Just get the gap set properly. That's at the front edge there, you want that gap, so as it goes in like that. Then you can pinch up your mounting bolt again so it's in the right place. And then what we got to do then is, because the GRX over a standard crankset that you had in there before, say, is a different chain line on the GRX. It's about 2.5mm out this way in comparison to a standard road crankset. So therefore that's why they say to use the GRX front derailleur with the GRX crankset in the first place. Now after you've done that, so what you want to do next is, with a 2mm hex head, is the front here, there, has got to be in line with the teeth on the chain ring. So bring that out there so it's in line with the teeth. So what you want to do is locate your low screw and then turn that clockwise and it'll bring that out so as it's in line. So wind that out. You can see there, it's in line with the teeth on the chain ring there. So once you've got that in line, then you can move on to the next stage. Right, so the next step is, now you've done that, what you'll find is the back of the cage is, I'll exaggerate, it's stuck round like that slightly, so as it's over the top of the outer chain ring, so it's round, coming round like this. So what you got to do is make sure that your screw is nowhere near your frame, so anti-clockwise undo it, the one through the middle there, it's touching down inside there, make sure it's away from the frame. And then what you want to do is gently push round on the back of the cage so as the rear of the cage is just inside slightly, only by like a mil or half a millimetre inside the teeth on the chain ring. So it's just inside on the outside edge of the cage, it's just inside like so, only slightly, just like that. So once you got it there, then we're ready for the next step. Right, so once you've got it just inboard of the chain ring, then what you want to do is get your 2mm hex head and locate it on the screw that's going through and touching on your frame, and then wind that back in so till it starts to touch the frame. And when it touches the frame, you'll see as you start to screw it in, the back of the cage comes round out again. As it does, then what you want to do is get it lined up with the outside of the teeth of the chain ring. So she's just putting some tension, it's putting some tension load on the cage. So as you do it, it won't be a lot, just maybe not even a turn. So as it's parallel with the teeth on the chain ring, like so. Right, so being as the shifter was down on the inner chain ring, what you want to do is now we can just undo the pinch bolt what's holding the cable, so that's a 4mm hex head, just undo that. So the cable's just sitting there, and then once you've undone that, we just want to back off the cable tension screw at the top there, just wind that out like that. And then there's a little grey piece of plastic that comes out the back of there, just make sure that's round back inside there, and also make sure that the pinch bolt there, there's a tab on the back of it on the plate, just make sure that comes round and touches against the grey piece of plastic that's coming out the back there, because as that screw goes through it pushes on them both, and then it effectively puts tension on it. If they're not touching when you pinch up the cable, then you're not going to be able to adjust the cable tension properly. So presuming that your cable is in perfect working order, or you haven't long replaced it, there's no point in doing this if your cable's old, because you're wasting your time. You have to put a new cable in to start with, otherwise you're not going to get it shifting correctly. So what we'll do is, with the cable, obviously the shifter shifted down to the inner chain ring, just make sure you double check that. We're just slacking off the pinch bolt, or you can remove it, whichever. Just put the cable underneath it and then screw it back in. Once you've got the cable underneath it, and then making sure, like I said, that the tabs are touching one another at the back there when you do the cable. So what you want to do now is, with a piece of cable you've got left, is pull on the cable as tight as you can get it, and once you're doing that, do up the pinch bolt at the same time, snug it down like so. So that's the cable in there. So we're ready for the next step. Right, so now we've got the cable pinched up, what you want to do is go up to your shifter and then shift up. And if you've put a new cable in to do this, then shift up and down about 10 times, say. If you're running an old used cable that's in good condition, then it's not necessary to do that so much. But like I said, shift up to the outside, back down, just check that it's moving okay. It should be nice and light. Now shift back up to the outside, the outer chainring, for a minute, and then I'll show you just how to do your cable tension there if necessary. Right, so as you can see, the derailleur's shifted up onto the outer chainring. So what you want to do is, with your shifter, is with it shifted up onto the outer chainring, I'll just put it down to the lower so you can see. So that's on the lower, shift up, right up to the outer, and then if you just click the shifter as though you're shifting down, but don't shift down to the inner chainring, you just tap the shifter once, very lightly, like that, and it just moved. That's all you've got to do. There's no point shifting back down, that's in the wrong place. You've got to shift up, then just one tap on it, and it's moved there. Once it's in that position, then what you can do then is, you can see, if I zoom in you'll see it better, just there, there's a line, and just by that, what would be a rivet, there's a line just above it, and those two lines there are lining up straight, so you know that the cable's tensioned up correctly. If yours was over here somewhere, that top line, the long line, if it was over this way slightly towards the outside, so it was at an angle like that pointing towards it, you need the lines, both of them, to line up straight like they are there. So you might get it just like that, where they've lined up straight and haven't done anything, or you may need to go to your cable adjuster there, the 2mm, and then wind that in to put some tension on the cable. So as you tension that up, as you're winding it in, you'll just bring the line over and it will line up if yours is out of line. So you just wind it and it'll line up. If I wind it, it'll go out of line because it's already lined up. So I can just back it off a little bit and leave it like that. And then what you do is, over time, is periodically just shift like I have just done, and then just check those lines are lined up, because if you get poor shifting over time, it's because the cable's stretched through shifting, obviously making the cable stretch. Some cables stretch more than others, and those lines, they go out of sync. So it's always worth checking that occasionally. Right, so now we've sorted out the alignment and the cable tension, we shift back down fully to the inner chainring. Then you can put your cable back round where it should go, underneath like that and back round, and then put your cover back over your pinch bolt. So get that in place like so. So that's in there. Now what I'll do is put a chain on and we'll check that. Right, so as you see, we've got the chain back on now. Now originally this had a 50-34 compact on it, so the chain, I haven't had to touch the chain length at all on this, so just the chain's gone straight back on. Haven't had to take any links out or anything to resize it. So what you want to do is, when you got the chain back on, is staying on the inner at the front, is just shift up to your largest on the cassette at the back. So whatever you've got on there, 34, 32, whatever you've got on the back. So just shift up on the back. So once you're in the largest at the back, I'll just show you what to look out for then. Right, so we're on the largest at the back and the inner at the front. And then what you want to do is just check your clearance there when you're on the largest at the back. Make sure that the chain is just literally just touching, or near a damn it touching, the wear indicator there on the inside of the derailleur on the cage. So it's just almost touching that. If not touching it, it's just slightly. If it's pushing the chain over like that when you're in the largest at the back and the chain's over here and the derailleur is too far towards the outside and it's not just lightly touching it in a nice straight line, it's not bent over. If it's just slightly out, then what you want to do is, with your 2mm hex head, just locate your low screw again. So that one there, and then turn it so as it moves the cage back towards the wheel effectively, so as it just allows the clearance there just to be spot on. So once you've done that, you're happy with that, then shift down to somewhere in the middle of the cassette at the back, and then go ahead, pedal your crank round and then shift up to the outer at the front. Well, as you can see, we're in the outer at the front, and what I've done is now I've shifted down from the middle down to the 11 at the back now. So then what you want to do is check it on the front here, make sure you've just got enough clearance, and it will be just enough clearance in there. If you're looking from the front, looking this way straight at it, just make sure that you've just got enough when as you're turning the cranks round, the chain is just missing up in there, and it will be literally just missing. So when you're on the 11 at the back, that is, so it's just missing the outer cage here on the inside, just missing that. So if you need to alter that, then obviously you want to do your high screw hex head in there, that one with the H underneath it. So you just adjust that, only be a small amount, just a little tweak just to adjust it so as it's missing up in there when you're on the 11 at the back. And then what you can do is just move across the cassette at the back, moving up. Obviously you're going nowhere near the largest at the back because you wouldn't have that combination, because you're cross chaining way too much. It's not designed to do that. You want to come up somewhere about halfway or just over halfway in the cassette, and that's enough. And then just make sure that you're not getting any contact with the inner plate there when you're changing up halfway up the cassette. Make sure it's not stuck against there or anything. So it's a compromise between just missing here and hitting on there. You don't want either of them, but they're going to be very close, as they always are. So once you've done that, then I'll run up through the gears just to show you it working. Right, so I'll just run up through the gears, and obviously shifting up and down on the front chainring, just to show you it in operation with the R8000 road derailleur. So there you have it, it's all installed, up and running. Right, so there's the steps complete for you. So as you see there, fully working, no problem at all, plenty of clearance all round. So there's no need to purchase a GRX front derailleur if you've already owned the road derailleur and you want to fit a GRX crankset, say your cyclocross bike or your gravel bike or whatever you've got. So I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more cycle related content. Till next one, ride safe and I'll see you then.